Hello.
I forgot the music again. Ah, we
We're
just get
just
so ready.
ready to dive right on into it. But
We are.
yes, hello everyone. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to New Agent Bootcamp. Not Bootcamp. Is it New
Yeah,
Bootcamp?
boot camp. Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting it's the end
Not
of
to
the
be
day.
confused with
Last
training
session.
camp. Because there's training camp. That's a lot of times, and it's funny because whenever someone like at a conference and they say, I joined your boot camp, I always know it's like, oh, you mean like it's training camp because it depends on what time of the year it is.
Right. It's like, did you get certified? Which that's what happens at training camp. And this one's
Yeah.
just really good for getting to the basics, tuning in.
Yeah.
But no, put in the chat if this is your first one, whichever many. Sandor, I see your chat. I know you've been tuning
Hello.
into, I think it's everyone because I recognize the
And
names
all of
now.
them. Yeah, I know, recognizing the names.
Alicia, perfect.
That's really awesome. And also, what has been like your favorite one so far? Which
Ooh,
would probably be really hard to pick.
I know. All the
Yeah.
speakers were so good yesterday. All of
Yeah.
them.
All of them. I love like last one. Let's get it.
Let's get
Proposal and
it.
itineraries.
Woo.
Bonnie, that's you.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. I'm honored.
Honored.
But
So awesome. Well,
yeah.
we're getting ready for the last one. Should we jump in here? I can do a couple. I'll do this for the final time. This all the housekeeping
Oh my
for the
gosh.
final time we did this. And like Bonnie said, if this is your first one, guess what? We've been recording all of them, but this one, I'll explain that in a second. But this one is setting up your travel website with Travefy. It's going to be so awesome. I cannot wait for this one. But if you missed any of the ones previously from today, because again, today was day 2 where we focused on Travefy software tools. So we had talked all itineraries and proposals, how you wow your clients, win more bookings in the first session. And then we just got done with the CRM one. So I was walking through how to do forms, set up task lists, how to organize your client contacts, all of that stuff. And then now we are in the final one of setting up your website. And what's great about these sessions is this is with a new agent in mind, new advisor, new travel consultant, whatever you call yourself. There's some really cool names out there, actually. Those are, I like, what was one of them? CEO. It was like explore. I can't remember, but there's really good stuff. But whether you're new or maybe you've been doing this for a while and maybe Travefy is new to you, these are all really going to be helpful. So that's why we're doing it this way, that we're talking about it in a way of like, here's how you set it up. Here's how you start to use this for your business and workflow. So hopefully they've been really helpful. But again, you can find all those recordings as well as yesterday's. So yesterday was day 1, and yesterday was all about industry education. So we didn't focus in on Travefy, but we brought in expert speakers from around well, I guess different. There were different countries represented. Canada was one of them. But we brought them in and they just talked about ways that you can better your business, especially when you're a new advisor, how you get up and running. So it was really, really fun stuff. But all of these are being recorded, as we've been mentioning, and you'll find all of them right after this. You actually can start accessing them pretty quickly. If you just go to the same page that you would have registered with, go to that page. I'll put the link in the chat here, but that's where you'll be able to find everything. Now, early next week, we will put them on our YouTube channel. So if you're newer to Travefy, know one thing: we record everything and always put them on our YouTube channel. I'm not kidding. We have like 1 to 2 new videos every week. There's always something in there. So they will be all in there, as well as links and stuff. So if we share things with you, we'll put those in YouTube as well. So you'll be able to find all of that. But with that being said, Bonnie, I'm gonna let you take it away now.
Yes, I'm
Final
excited
one.
for this last one, not only because, this is rounding out a really great 2 days, but also I love the website and landing page builder. And there's still so many users who I talk to, both in person or just on trainings, who are like, wait a minute, you guys had this? Where was this tool even at?
Right.
So I'm really excited to show you guys. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen.
And I'm gonna mention one thing too. I forgot to say this. But if you have questions, try to use, I'm going to be in the back trying to answer, and then I'll feed some to Bonnie at the end. We probably won't be able to get to all of them, but we'll try to do our best. But try to use that Q&A panel. It's a little easier just to handle than the chat. But if you accidentally do chat, that's okay. But just FYI, do that, and I will be in there. So okay, I'm gonna put the spotlight on you now, Bonnie, and let you take it away.
Sounds good. But yes, if you were here for our first session, you know that this is our homepage of Travefy. And I do want to say to Stephanie's point, the nice thing about today's sessions is that if they are any questions that go unanswered, our team is able to answer you back. So here's where that chat is. You'll be able to see it whenever you're in your account, no matter where you're at. So make sure you utilize that. But now where we are headed today is our page builder. So this is where we can build both a website as well as marketing landing pages. So if you are brand new getting started and you are like, oh my gosh, I have to do a million trainings for my host agency, or I'm just kind of dabbling in to see if being a travel advisor is something I want to do. We all know when it comes to businesses, a website is really a necessary item today. And so whether you have a website or not, this is still going to be really helpful for you because you can also make what we call those marketing landing pages. And those pages are really great if you have a website already, maybe you've already got one through your host or you just have one that you've built already, to really emphasize certain trips that you make. And we're going to get into that. But you can see where my mouse is hovering. I am clicking on pages, which is up at the top left. Now, this tool is so great. You would almost think that this is another just add-on to your subscription, but it's all included. And I am going to pick one of our themes here. So we have 4 different themes. You'll see the names at the top. We have Kaizen, Santorini, Stellar, and Azure. Each one's going to have a little bit of a different look, and you can always view what we call a demo of each one if you aren't quite sure if you like one or the other. So if we click into Santorini's view demo, we can actually click into a few things. You can choose the buttons, kind of get familiar with everything. You can even use this as trip inspiration or page inspiration, I should say. But once you find one you like, go ahead, select apply theme. And I'm actually going to use the Kaizen one for now. But the nice thing is with anything in Travefy, you can always go back and change this later on. So now that we've chosen a theme, here is what it is looking like. A blank template, a blank slate, if you will. And what we're going to do today is really build a website together. And so with that being said, I am actually going to click save right here. Because of those of you who've maybe gotten in here before you've chosen a theme, you might be wondering where that little menu came from. I am going to select the edit page button, which is up at the top right. I always tell people to start in here. I'm a person who likes to start off in settings. If you were tuned into the first one, settings is a great place to start. Same thing for when you're building out your website or your landing page. It's going to give a good foundation for the rest of this page here. And so what I will do is I like to start off in theme personally. You can choose from any of these 3 tabs: page, theme, SEO, and social. And what I'm going to do is show you, first of all, how you can change your theme. So we chose Kaizen. You can change it to Santorini if you want, Stellar, Azure, anytime you would like. The other thing to notice is your theme color. Your theme color is going to be attached to certain buttons, to different headers. I know it's kind of hard to see it with this color, but if I click into this block right here, you can hopefully see this okay, but I have a little color wheel that I can play around with. So you can see how those buttons change and the headers, etc. But for those of you who have a logo, I highly recommend finding out what your HTML color code is so you can match your theme color to the rest of your page here. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and paste a greenish color in. You can see how that changes. If you're a Canva user, I personally am a lover of Canva, and you make your logo in there, you can find your HTML color code really easily. But that is exactly what I copied and pasted right into this box. Again, HTML color code. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do, or explain to you at least, is your favicon. If you haven't heard of this term before, that's okay. A favicon is basically an icon or a symbol for your business. So it's not quite your logo. It's going to be a symbol that represents your company. So for Travefy, ours is going to be that little, and hopefully you can see this okay, I can't actually zoom into it, but ours is going to be that little blue circle with our Travefy airplane in it. So make sure it's simple. Don't put a lot of detail into it because it's honestly going to get lost for how tiny it does appear. But even the tiniest things help with that branding. So again, if you have a favicon or if you need to build it, you can and just upload it right into that area. Now, I'm going to move over to SEO and social. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And this is going to be what helps get your website up in the top of search engine results. So like Google or Bing, Safari, you name it. And what's really, really nice is that it's basically a way to describe what this page is about. That's the best term to simplify what an SEO site description is. You want this summary to relate back to what's on this page. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first copy in an SEO description I have written up just so you can see it. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. But I put my company name in. I want to put the location that I'm based out of and what I specialize in because this is my homepage that I'm building with you guys. But this way, when someone's on, again, Google we'll just use for today. If someone's Googling travel agency in Lincoln, Nebraska, specializing in all-inclusives or FIT, I'm more likely to pop up because I have those keywords written in my description. Now, if you are still feeling a little unsure about going about making a description for yourself, right now, think of it as just a business summary, or if you've ever gone to business school or done a business class, think of it as your elevator pitch, just shorten it down into a paragraph. Otherwise, feel free to chat us. We can give you some pointers on an SEO site description, but there's also so many different websites out there that can help rate your site description, give you pointers as well. But again, I have just a little summary about what my business is so people can find me more easily. The next thing I'm going to do is add in, though, my social media image. And this is where I say usually put your logo, especially if this is your homepage for a website. That way, if you share it out on Facebook, if you've ever shared a link on a Facebook post, sometimes you'll see that thumbnail pop up with that little image, a little description. This is where that image is going to be coming from. So I'm going to click into here. I'm going to click upload. And I'm going to grab a logo from my computer. And we're going to click open. And what I always say too is make sure you edit your photos just to make sure it fits nicely in this crop box before we select keep edits and save. So now if I zoom in, you get a little social preview. If I were to put this on Facebook, here's what my link would actually look like. A little bit of that description comes over and my logo in that photo area. But again, with everything in Travefy, we can always come back in later and change it. If you make a logo now and you get a different logo later on, it's easy enough to swap things in and out. But we just talked about theme. We talked about SEO and social. The next tab over is going to be page. Now, I don't think I saw his name in here, but Chris, if you are tuning in, he was so kind as to message us about what page slug is. I have for the longest time never known why we called this a page slug, but it comes from the beginnings of letterpressing and all the way back then. So I'm going to click out of here. Basically what a page slug is, though, in this website builder, it's going to be a part of your website address or your URL. So for instance, if I were to publish this page, it would be travefy.com/ whatever I have entered into that page slug. This is a customizable piece again to your URL. So if you're doing just a landing page because you have a website out there already, you would maybe put summer group trip 2024 into your page slug just to personalize it a bit more. This one is going to make a lot more sense when we're at the end and we publish things. But for right now, I'm going to call this, actually, I'm going to call it home. I'm not going to call it New Agent Bootcamp. Now, the next thing here is going to be our page title. So basically that way we don't have a million untitled pages living in our page library. So for this one, I will call this our home. And the very last thing here is our rearrange area. So I'm going to actually come back to this spot. This here is one single page. Technically, I would consider this a landing page because a landing page is just one page. When I go to create a second page and I connect that page with the second page together through buttons, again, this is at the end, so don't feel too overwhelmed quite yet. That's when I would consider it a website. So landing page, singular, website, multiple. Rearrange now, how this relates back is that this page is made up of what we call elements, or you can think of them as building blocks. And I can actually rearrange each of these elements into an order that I like. And this is where I've been telling people, you know what, go onto Pinterest, go onto Google, go onto whatever search engine you use, look up website layouts. And so many of these elements that we have can be made into that. So for instance, if I wanted to maybe move this card area, or large card gallery is what it's called, up to be more towards at the top, I just match our little titles and I drag and drop it to where I want it to be. Again, drag and drop, we love it here at Travefy. So now actually I moved the large headline, but here's that large card gallery. We can just continue moving it up and down and up and down until you find the order of elements that you really like. Now for me, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play around with this a little bit. Don't feel like you're gonna get it the first time. I definitely don't. If you do, that's amazing though. And I am going to make Your Great Story Starts Here, this guy, go to the very top where it originally was. I'm going to then move, let's see, that looks good. Let's make the side element there. Let's actually remove this one because I don't love how it's similar to that. So if you need to delete something, you can always click on it. That's another big thing in this builder is if you see something you want to edit, click onto it. You're going to get the menu to edit it on the right-hand side. Now, again, in Travefy, when we see 3 dots, you can typically think that, we can delete it that way. So 3 dots, I'm going to delete it. And so far, it's looking good. And I'm going to keep it like that for right now, at least. So again, to get to rearrange, edit page menu, go through all 3 of your tabs, rearrange it at the end. And once you find that order that you like, we can always click save or continue rearranging. The other thing that I like to do next is now once you get through those settings, you get through rearranging, is adding in some new elements, or at least seeing if you want to add any more building blocks. So new element up at the top right, we're going to click it. It's that blue button. You're going to get a whole list of these elements that some didn't even show up on our template, and some you'll notice are going to be the same on here, so you can have multiple of the same one. But for me, I personally really like a color navigation bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that on over and I'm going to drop it into the spot that I want it to be. Hopefully you can see it, but we have a green dotted outline, which means we can drop it in. And you can see actually this is going to be tied to your theme color. Now I don't need 2 navigation bars. That looks a little silly. So we'll go ahead. If you remember, we click on what we want to edit. That menu to edit it pops up on the right-hand side. We find our 3 dots and we can delete it. So here's what that is looking now. Now, the other thing we're going to do quick is we're going to add in a Calendly calendar. So this is a really nice way to make sure that, because I'm really focused on getting new travelers, getting new leads to start getting my agency up and going, I want it to be easy for people to schedule calls with me. And so I'm going to go scroll down to our Calendly embed element. We're going to drag and drop this on in. Here's what that is looking like, and we're going to edit it sooner or later, but right now we're going to leave that as is. But let's go ahead. We've added in elements, we've rearranged them. It's time to start editing this content. And this is where it gets a little bit repetitive, but that's what's nice about this page builder. The logic is going to be the same across all of these different ones. So by the end of it, you're going to hear my voice in your head saying, all right, if you want to edit it, we need to click on it. And that menu on the right shows up for us to start putting that content in. So for me, I am going to put in our heading, our company name. And our company name is Bonnie Voyage. Our subheading is going to be your personal travel advisor. And for our description, I'm actually going to leave that blank. Don't feel like you have to fill out every single box. Play around with it, see what you like or don't like. I'm going for more of a simplistic website. I don't want it to be too overwhelming with information. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this add button option. This is another big tip when it comes to creating a page or creating a website. If you see an add button option, try and add a button. So we can see that we added a button in and work your way from top to bottom. The button type is going to be the first question. What do we want that button to do? For me, I might want this to go to my email address or my work email. That way, again, it's easy for clients to get a hold of me. I always want to make sure they don't have to try and search for a way to get a hold of me. So I'm doing that email address. Next, it's going to say, great, put your email address in. I'm going to type it in. And by the way, this is our support email if you ever have questions. But next is that button text. We don't want it to say button. We could leave it as click here. I like to go for contact. Or if you want a more personal touch, you can say get in touch. And we can click save. Save, save, save. And here's what that is looking like. Now, when it comes to buttons specifically, and if you want to test those buttons out, you'll see up at the top where we can preview this. Click preview. You'll be able to see what this looks like on mobile as well as desktop. You can click the buttons to make sure they work. So if I click get in touch, it's going to open an email. And as you can see, that address is already in there. So it's easy for clients to go ahead, type in the subject line, type in their message, and send that off to you. This, of course, goes directly to your inbox because they're emailing you. But that looks good. So we're going to exit that preview and we're just going to continue our way down this line. Now, next thing I'm going to do is click into this large card gallery. This is one of the more important elements if I had to rate the element's importance, because this is one that is really nice for showcasing your itineraries as well as forms. Now, for those of you who are brand new, where you might be in that stage where you're trying to find clients, maybe you don't have travelers right now, that's totally okay. This is where I say, make sure you create some good itineraries. If you're a part of a host agency, look at your preferred partners, start making just some featured trips, even if you don't have clients going on it. Maybe you find a cruise out there and you put a cruise itinerary together really quick because again, we have most cruise lines. You can import your trips to be featured on this page again, really easily. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm clicking into this element because again, I want to edit it. For my heading, I'm going to call this featured. Let's do that. Featured upcoming trips. Again, feel free if you don't want to put a heading, you don't have to. You don't have to put a description either. But now I know I have that Western Caribbean with Mexico itinerary that we put together in our first session today that I want to put right here. So I'm going to find the pencil icon, and that photo, as you can see, matches up. So we're clicking that pencil icon, and I'm going to go right to the bottom. A lot of times I'm going to say work your way from top to bottom, not when it comes to a trip, and you're going to see here why. Hopefully you can see it. We have this import from Travefy option at the very bottom. When I click that, we get two options. What would you like to import from your Travefy account? A trip or a library item? We're going to go with a trip. And if I scroll down, you can see all two of my trips that we've ever made. This one I didn't even technically make, that comes in your account. But once you find that trip you want to feature here, you click the plus option. And as you can see, it's going to put in that cover photo, the title, as well as the pricing. If you want to put in some description, you can do that as well. I'm just going to copy and paste some description so you can see what that looks like. You can also, of course, format this, bold, italicize. If you have any links you want to put in here, you have that hyperlink option. You can also say instead of the starting at $7,000, this came from our trip settings. If anyone was curious, you could always say X amount of spots available or closing soon. Whatever you want to do there, I think for me, if I see the price and I can see how many spots are left, that's always a really great motivator for people to reach out. So I'm going to click save. We're going to click save again. Here is what that is looking like. And again, when I preview this now and we try clicking that view trip option, this actually takes us right to the itinerary. So they'll be able to see, okay, this is what I can expect from when I book with this advisor. I can see the different days. The only really big differences is that instead of an app or PDF option or the ability to approve a proposal, these people are going to get a contact button. This goes directly to your email. You'll be able to see their email address, of course, their name, but it's a nice way for them to get a hold of you, especially if they're interested, without making them navigate back here to try and find a button to contact you. We try and make it as easy as possible for leads to get a hold of you. But again, always recommend putting a featured trip somewhere on your homepage, even if it's just one. Now we're going to click back into here. I'm going to show you a few different things I like to point out. Pencil icon, we're going to edit this one. We aren't going to put a trip in because I obviously only really have one, but I'm going to click into the images here. Now from here, we have a couple different media options we can do. We can upload our own. We can put a website link in here to try and get photos from that website page. Copy and paste, also a really good one. But the database is super helpful, especially if maybe you don't love the cover photo you had for your itinerary. So for me, I might type in resort and click search. Maybe I'm going for a certain aesthetic. You can see all of the photos that come over for resort. So for me, I might just choose this one. Looks nice. We'll click save and we'll click save again. And then for the next one, just so you can get used to how these cover photos work, we'll do the same thing. We click that pencil icon for that specific card. You can put in the trip title, you can put badge, descriptions, however you want it to be. But again, for images, it's really easy to use that database. So for me, I'm going to type in traveler photo. And we'll click search and you can see all the different traveler photos. You can go for a certain theme if you would like, but you could spend a lot of time just playing around with what photos you want to use. So for me, maybe I'll use this one. We'll click save and we'll call it good. But here's what that is looking like. And again, you can always come in here, you can swap your photos out. I know a lot of advisors actually who are also Canva lovers, where they'll customize their own cover photos in Canva. So if you have a certain design that you're going for, absolutely go for it. But now I'm going to click down into this one. This is what we call our side element. And I, from here, am going to type in just a few different things about me. Now for a home page, I love seeing it in About Me page section, or if you want to dedicate a whole page just about you, that just helps me realize that you're a real person. It also just humanizes you a bit more, especially since everything is on the internet. So for the heading, I'm going to call this Get to Know Your Travel Planner. For the subheading, I'm going to leave that blank. I am going to copy and paste some description in though. And we'll just paste that right on in here. You can, again, do whatever you would like when it comes to how you format this. So for me, maybe I italicize it. If I feel like it's hard to read, I might not. But next thing I'm going to do is put in an image. If you have a headshot, I would highly recommend putting in a headshot of you. Again, it just humanizes you, or your logo. Either are really good. So I'm going to click into here. And you can see we actually have one more method we could do. We actually have a video method on this one. So if you have a YouTube channel, YouTube Shorts, or a Vimeo account, and you have a little introduction video, I love seeing introduction videos because again, it just humanizes you that much more. So if you have a video, you just need your share link that you can paste in here, and we'll put that on in. But for me, I just have a cover photo, or not a cover photo, one that I want to upload with my headshot. So we're clicking into upload, clicking this here. I just made this quick in Canva. And I'm clicking edit, of course, to make sure everything fits nicely. Before we select keep edits and then finally click that save option. Now I'm going to click save one more time. There's one more little thing that I'm going to talk about when it comes to this element specifically. One, sometimes if you have a headshot and you upload it and you see that you're way too zoomed in, you're like, I never want anyone to see me that close, especially if they are clients. What I recommend doing is checking to see if you have a shrink to fit or fill option. If it is too zoomed in, select shrink to fit, and it's going to make it a lot tinier, as you can see. Now for me, I had a ton of white space, if you remember, because I uploaded a vertical photo. So for me, that doesn't really work that well. So I'm going to keep it to fill. But if we notice, we have a little add button option. So we're going to add a button before we are done with this. So when I select that add button, again, we think to ourselves, what do we want that button to do? For me, I am going to select a form. So this is really great. If you missed Stephanie's session where we talked about the CRM, we talked about how we can get forms created in our account, as well as grab some from Marketplace. Forms are really important because one, it can create that automatic contact profile for someone we haven't talked to as long as they filled that form out. It's also really great at updating clients' profiles if they're already in our system. So what I'm trying to say is make sure you have an intake form or a simple inquiry form at the very least. Again, it doesn't need to be super complex. It's just a way for you to get contact information. And by all means, set up that consultation call afterwards. You don't need to get as all the information you need just within this. But I'm doing a form. I'm going to say inquire here. And we can go ahead, we can actually create a brand new form, or we can import a form from our library. So if I select import from library, I'm just going to choose that client intake form that Stephanie made. We're going to click that plus option, and I'm going to click save. Now that looks good, so I'll click save one more time. Here's what things are looking like. So again, we're going to preview this. Mobile as well as desktop. If I go to that button and click inquire here, this is something fun when it comes to the page builder. It does the little pop-up for the form. So they fill everything out. It works the exact same way. You'll of course get an email notification once you receive a response. But when they are done filling this out, they're still on your website. So if they wanted to continue looking around, they can. It doesn't take them to a brand new tab or anything like that. We are trying to anchor them here and allow them to get in contact with you. But now we're going to exit that preview. Again, we added a form in via a button. The next thing we're going to do is this Calendly one. So for me, I'm going to copy a Calendly link of ours. We're going to click into here and we're going to fill this out. I'm going to call this Let's Chat. Schedule your free consultation today. And I'm just going to paste in my Calendly link. So if none of you are familiar with Calendly, or maybe some of you are, Calendly is a calendar scheduling software that we have a partnership or integration with. And Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there are free account types that you can build in Calendly. So especially if you're new, set up your free profile. Yeah, perfect. And again, this is just going to provide an easy way for people who are interested in chatting with you to go ahead and schedule some stuff with you. And of course, it's saying that, I can see maybe why that is. Hold tight, everybody. I apparently don't know my own Calendly link. So we're going to see if I can grab one quick. Found one. Going to paste it in here. Click save. And here's what that is looking like. So it doesn't seem that we have any training slots available today, but definitely get on there for tomorrow. But again, this is what your clients would see. They can see when you have the next availability, what times they can choose from. So if you are in need of a calendar software, take a look at Calendly. We don't get any commission off of this, by the way, if you think I'm selling it. We just use it and it makes my life a lot easier. But here's what that looks like. Let's go down to the bottom. We're almost to the end of this page, and the second page we're going to make is going to be that much quicker. So I'm going to click into here now. This is called a call to action. And really, it's our last push to people to reach out to us if they have not already. So we want to put a line in that's really going to try and get them to contact us. So for some people, I see a lot of times time is running out, or inquire today, sales end tomorrow. I'm sure you've seen things like that when you just are shopping online or even on Amazon. And that's kind of what we're going for. It's a little bit salesy, but it works. So for this one, let's see what fun little tagline I came up with a little bit ago. Oh, I put ready to travel. Fun. Subheading wise, we'll do let's chat. For the image, we can always search for something else, but we do want to add that button option in. So we're going to say, what do we want that button to do? We've already done an email. We've already done a form. Personally, you can continue to put in the same kind of form or the same email into different spots. Again, we just want them to be able to contact us. So For those of you who missed out on the form part, we'll do a form again. We say what that button is, and we'll say connect. And instead of creating a new form, we'll just import the same form, and we'll click that plus button before we click save, save, save. Now, I won't make us preview this since we've already seen what that form looks like, but I do want to explain some things at the bottom here. So this is our footer. This is what's sandwiching our entire page. And this is where you would want to put in your social media links. So if you see a Facebook link and you happen to have Facebook, we click that pencil icon. We have everything set up for you, but you can type in or paste in your link or URL. You can also type in Facebook if you feel that the text is necessary. Otherwise, most people will recognize the Facebook logo. Again, that's up to you. If you by chance don't happen to have one of these social medias, you can always click the three dots, which again just means you can delete it. Or what we can always do too is if I click into the pencil icon, for instance, for TikTok, I can go in and I can actually change that icon to something else entirely. So just know we have a few set up for you, but you can always change that around. But next and last thing we'll talk about, at least when it comes to this page, we're going to go up at the very top. If you remember from when I did this edit page, SEO and social, we included this big photo. Now, I will say this photo would not work if I put it in that logo area because it's much too big. So what you want to do is you want to get a logo or a version of your logo that's just one line if possible. That is going to make sure it fits really, really nicely. So to show you what I mean, we're clicking into that navigation bar and I'm going to click into that logo area. So we're going to click into there and we're going to select that upload option, of course. Let's upload something. And for me, I'm going to go to our desktop. I actually use I'm on an Apple computer and I just use the crop feature, cropped it down. I'll click open and click save. So now that is showing a lot better than if I were to try and do that full size of my logo. But now a couple of buttons that we haven't talked about, page section and page. So let's go ahead, let's do this about one. We're gonna click the pencil icon. That about button is right up here, if anyone's curious. And these are the two that we really haven't talked about. External link, that's a little bit more self-explanatory. If you want it to go to maybe an affiliate link, that is the one that you would want to choose. But page section is where someone clicks into it and you want that button to take them to a certain spot on your page. So for me, I might really want them to go to my featured upcoming trip section. It's not that far down my page, but still, I would like a place for them to get to easily. So we're saying we want this to take them to a page section. What page section do we want to take it to? I want it to go to the featured upcoming trips. Do we want to call it about? No, I already have an about section. That's not where I'm taking them to. So we'll call this upcoming trips. And hopefully you can see that. I know that's a little bit tinier, but we'll go ahead and click save. Again, that was page section. Now I'm going to click save again. We're going to preview this one. Click upcoming trips, and you can see it takes us right to that area without having to scroll a whole element down. But now this is where we're going to have a little bit more fun. We're going to create a second page and look at how we can connect multiple pages together. And so what I like to tell people, especially if you're going to keep the same colors, the same branding for the most part, one, save it to your library, or you can always create a copy of this. Now for me, I'm going to choose a few different ways. I know I'm hopping around all of a sudden, but three dots, there we go. Had a little bit of a brain blur, but edit page menu. To save this to your library to use kind of as a template. This is really good actually for those of you who are going to create marketing pages with this, or maybe a page for your groups. That's always a really good idea as well. Save that to your library so you don't have to recreate and customize this nearly as much in the future. So I'm saving this to our library. I'm going to just keep it as the home page. You can see how we can add in more descriptions and labels. I'm really just concerned right now with saving it. So that's saved to our library. I'm clicking the drop-down arrow up at the top left now. Let me click out of this banner so you can see everything okay. And this is where you can continue creating more and more pages. There's no limit to how many pages you can create. We aren't going to charge extra for you to create pages. That's always a common question. This is all included in your subscription. So you can go ahead, you can create a new page, or we'll create that one from our library, which is that home one. This is a brand new page. It looks the exact same as what we just were working on because it's a copy. But now instead of having to go through the edit page menu all over again and do a whole nother, however long I've already taken talking about this, we can just look at deleting things out that we don't want and adding just a few things in. So for me, let me go ahead. I'm going to call this our planning process page. So we're going to call it planning process. For the page slug, I'm going to delete that out. Again, that page slug is a part of our URL, which is going to make a whole lot of sense once we publish it. I'm going to type this in and call it planning process. I would personally also go through your SEO and social, maybe look at removing that out if you want to be a bit more specific to what this page entails. But I'm not too concerned with it. I'm clicking save. And for me, I can look at this and decide, what do I want to keep? What do I want to remove? So maybe because this is a planning process, I'm mostly concerned with getting rid of the featured upcoming trips. By the way, if you want an easy way to delete things really quickly, edit page menu, and I'm going to just click the 3 dots on that element, click delete. And you can continue just moving your way on down. Everything else I'm actually pretty happy with keeping. And we're going to just add in one new element together that we didn't really touch on. So again, we're going to new element. What do we want to add into this page to make it a little bit different? I'm going to scroll down. I love seeing a planning process somewhere on the website, whether it's on your homepage or whether it's on a secondary page like what we're doing, just so clients can get their questions answered without having to waste time when you're talking to them. So we're moving over the medium card gallery, dropping it on in. I want this to appear more towards the top. I'll call this the process. And I'm going to click into the pencil icon. For the title, let's call this, and I'm just going to start copying and pasting things so we don't take up too much time about me typing. But step 1, free consultation. This is really good to make sure that you have your own workflow established. We'll call this step 1. And of course, I would probably say remove the photos out of these people. This is actually a really good element too if you want to leave reviews. Upload a photo of your client if you have permission, of course, put in their review at the bottom. I've seen a lot of people also, maybe if you're a part of an agency, meet the team, have a headshot of everyone on your agency and a little description of them, maybe contact information as well. But hopefully you're kind of getting the idea. No, I'm not going full in depth about each little thing. But again, let's get the overall picture at the very least. Last one though, step 3. And we'll just paste some stuff in. Oop, we'll delete that out. And we'll click save. Now, maybe I don't have a step 4. That's okay. Again, your 3 dots is how you'll be able to delete it. Now, I'm clicking save. Here is what that looks like. Again, I hope it doesn't throw people off that these are pictures of all women as part of my process, but that's where I would say go to Canva, maybe find some photos or use that royalty-free database to get some photos on in there. But really for everything else, I want to keep that. It's still making sure people can get a hold of me really easily and so on and so forth. But now you're probably wondering, okay, we've made our 2 pages. Second page took significantly shorter amount of time. How do we connect those together? We're going to want to go back to our homepage really quick. We're going to click up into our navigation bar up top. I'm going to have this services button go to my planning page. So we're clicking our pencil icon and we're working our way from top to bottom. For our link, instead of a page section, we want this button to go to another page. So we're going to select page. What page? I only have one other one to choose from. That's my planning process page. And instead of it saying services, I want to call it, we'll just call it process before we click save, save, save. Now, something important, if you want people to be able to come back to this homepage, if they click into this little button, you're going to want to add that same kind of button into this navigation bar. So I'm going to remove that services button. I'm going to just edit this upcoming trips one. Actually, no, I won't. Yes, I will. See, making a page is all about trying to go back and forth in your decisions, but just know you can always make changes when you want. I'm going to have this page go back to our home page. So again, what do we want that button to do? We want this to go to a page. Which page? We want this to go to that home one. And I'm going to type in home. So now this is where the magic is going to happen. You've stuck with me in moving things around, rearranging, editing, and whatnot. It's now time to publish it. So I'm going to hit that publish button for this planning process one. And I'm actually going to go here first. And it might be because I'm on the second account, but once you hit publish, this is what puts it online. And what I'm going to actually do, in our last one, we shared a whole FAQ, and I'm going to put that into our chat quick. If I can find where our chat went, just so you have all of our notes, all of our handy FAQs, key takeaways. I always like taking notes for everyone. So first things first, let's go ahead. Putting in an article, it's going to have some high-level notes for everybody, as well as links to a page. And that page in itself, I actually made on a domain masked account. So I'm going to pull this one over. It's actually a little bit more fleshed out. You can see that I don't have pictures of women in my process. But the big thing here to note is that one, I can go back home and I can click in the planning process, and it takes me to those different pages. And really, that's how every website works. If you think about your favorite website to go shopping on, usually there's a lot of different tabs at the top, whether it's sales, whether it's, clothing, whether it's, whatever. Each button connects to a page and vice versa. So again, that is how going back and forth between those pages work. Now, I want to touch very briefly on domain masking. I know I'm going up on time here, but really we could take a lot longer to talk about the website builder in itself. But you'll notice instead of Travefy being here, it says Bonnie Voyage Travels, and that is because I own that domain. And you can freely domain mask your account through Travefy. Again, as long as you own a domain, whether it's through GoDaddy, Google Domains, Squarespace, Wix, hopefully those names sound familiar, you can domain mask your account. So not only will your website links have your branding, it's also going to mean that your form links and your trip links are going to have your branding link as well. So if you are wondering what the first step in getting some branding going is, check out some domain hosts, see which one's going to have the better deal, the better price for you, better package, and then get a hold of us so we can schedule a quick free domain masking training with you. But I know we probably have a lot of questions. There always are when it comes to this website builder, because again, it feels almost like a whole nother software, or not software, but a whole nother tool in itself. So it's crazy that this is already included in your subscription, which is the best thing ever. But Stephanie, let's try and get through some questions.
Oh, there we go. I gotta unmute myself. Okay, we're gonna rapid fire. Okay, so well, someone just asked you, but you showed this, but if you could just show it one more time, is how you test the site before publishing, which basically you're just gonna preview and then you can click around.
Yes,
And
you
do all
always
that.
want to preview. This is where you can test out your buttons. You can see what it looks like both on mobile. So here's what that looks like. You can still test out those buttons too on mobile as well. But you can also view it on desktop. You can still do the same thing for the buttons if it goes to another page. The caveat to this is you will want to make sure that other page you're connected to has been published. Otherwise, this is just going to go to an unpublished page because that's what it is. It's not published yet. So hopefully that makes sense. But preview is the way to test out your pages.
Mm-hmm. So another question here, and there's a couple variations of this, is if you already have a website, like how do you connect your domain then? Can you? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I'm glad someone asked that because you can do what we call subdomain masking. So instead of, and I'm just going to pull down my Body Voyage domain masked one here. So if I already had a website elsewhere, which again, totally fine, especially if you've had it for a long time, like obviously you don't want to go through the work of making another one. But if you do what we call subdomain masking, we can still have your company name in that link or that URL. it would just have trips in front of it, TRIPS. So again, company's name is still in there. It's not interfering with your website. Think of it more as a partner to it.
I like that, a partner to it.
A
It's really
partner, a
good.
buddy.
Yeah. So another question is, how many pages can you have? Like, how many can you create?
Yeah, so the limit is unknown, as in you can make as many as you want. We haven't hit one where we have found there to be problems. And again, we aren't going to charge you for you making additional pages. By all means, create as many as you can.
Yeah, I know that the limit does not exist.
The limit does not
So
exist.
does not exist. Okay, so there's a lot of questions on this, and I think all of it just comes back to linking other things together. So there's a question as, can a landing page be linked to an already created non-Travefy? Sorry, I just dropped something if you heard that. If my hands, I'm moving my hands. And how do you link that? Like, so can you just go over that again, like how you use like the buttons to link things that maybe aren't Travified to things and all
Yes.
that?
And if you will, Stephanie, while I'm talking about this, I would try and find the button types FAQ because that
Yeah, let
is
me get
super,
that.
super helpful. Because again, buttons are the key to making this an interactive and useful site for your clients. And so let's go with that situation where maybe I have a page that I want to connect to one of my Travefy pages, but again, that page isn't a Travefy one. So how do I go about that? So what I would do is one, I'm going to click add item. I'm going to do a link. And let's say maybe you have you're through a host agency. I know a lot of host agencies will have your own little profile page, if you will, that talks about you, of course, some of your deals going on. If that's you, or if you have an affiliate page that you want to link to it, what you want to do is external link. This is also the type of button that was set up for the social medias down in that footer. You basically do external link. You don't have to have it as an icon unless it's a social media in one of the following. And this is where I would put in whatever website it is that's not a part of Travefy into this URL right here. Of course, you don't need to keep it as link. You could always call it current deals, for instance. Have that link to your profile page with your host agency. Just make sure to click save, save, save. And of course, I would actually have a URL in there before you hit that publish button again. And by the way, if you're curious, how do I get the current deals from that side? Because it looks a little wonky. Drag and drop is the way to go. So you can just drag and drop it to where you want. So now it's on this side. If you want it to be on the other side, you can always go back and forth.
Yeah, I think that's so helpful because it always is like, okay, so how do I link it all together? And it's so easy. But then also the opposite way of like, if you wanted to share this page like on your social media, on Facebook, on an
Exactly.
email, like how do you do that?
Yeah, so I don't think this account's going to let me because it likes my other account. So if you will, I'm actually going to sign out of this one really quick so you can see this. So I'm signing out. Goodbye, Jane Smith account. This is the most organized account I have currently because there's hardly anything in it. But let's log into mine, and please no judgment on what you're about to see. But let's go
I
to
bet there's many
pages.
people are like, yep, that's what mine looks like.
Yeah, that's just how it is. But let's go to our new agent bootcamp one. And actually, this is a good one because I can change the page slug with you guys. We're going to call this new agent bootcamp. This is also a big reason why I say domain mask, because this is going to have just your slug. If you aren't domain mask, it's still going to put your slug that you enter in. It's just going to have a few different numbers and letters to help keep it unique. So one, that's how we do that there. I'm going to click save. Because I made a change to my already published page, we have this button show up again. And that is where in our edit page menu, we can actually grab the link. We can paste it into our bar right here. We can do like what Stephanie said. We can link it from our other website back to here, vice versa, put it on our Facebook, wherever you want. But publish is what puts it online. Edit page is where you'll find your link. And the nice thing is too, if you are like, I just need to go into my Travefy website page, I haven't touched it in a little bit, and I need to make a whole lot of changes. Hopefully you can see this. I'll zoom in. You can actually make your page hidden. So even if you put it online, maybe you just clicked publish by accident, go to hidden. You can click save again. You can republish that, and you'll see here that little eye eyeball actually, with a slash through it, means it's not going to be accessible until you make it visible.
Oh, but
Again,
you
no
answered. I
need.
was going to ask you that question.
Oh,
I was like,
perfect.
can you show how? So perfect.
Yeah, and honestly too, I don't expect everyone to remember every little single thing that we went through today. So if you come across that where it's like, I know Bonnie talked about this, I accidentally hit publish, what do I do? Chat us, we will know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll be like, well, and another thing actually, so I put another FAQ in the chat of there's an FAQ that we have of the guide of like optimal image sizes for everything. So like your logo to like the call to action, a gallery. So that I put that in there. So we have that too. Another question here is just, we might be able to get one more here is can you use a page to promote a specific thing? This person mentioned a cruise. Like, can you do
Yes,
that?
and I'm so glad that I've signed into my usual account because we have some different examples now. Uh, but one, we talked about this specifically for the group's webinar page. We talked about how do I make a group landing page? And so I'm going to go to our Utah 2024 one. If you tuned into that, hello. But I'm going to click save here. Here is an example of what that can look like. This is a landing page. So for those of you who have a website and were wondering, how can I still use this tool that's included in my subscription? This is how you can create that marketing page where you're just talking about a specific trip. You can decide to include, what are the different packages that you're offering for this trip? What are went back and forth too quick. You can include your one itinerary versus several. You can talk about, here are the forms that I need every traveler to fill out before we can start booking. If you have like a heads up news announcement, you can put it up in here. But I'm going to put this link into our chat. And yeah, these are really excellent. This again is where I would say save this type of page to your library because the layout is all there. You would just have to swap in the specific details for each of your trips. And that takes a lot less time than starting from scratch.
I like that. Yeah, we forgot about that. Yeah, you can save those, which is so cool. I love
Yes.
that. That's so nice. I actually I'm going to also drop in one more link. Sorry, we're doing link, but we have so much to share with you. But I just put in again because I realized the time and I was like, oh my gosh. All the recordings again are in that link that I just put in, the main one that you would have registered with. But this video, once we get wrap up here, it might just take like 20-30 minutes or so, and then you'll be able to watch it and come back and follow along. Just like pause Bonnie and be like, okay, I'm ready for the next part. So super exciting. But this is awesome. I know there's some questions that we didn't get to. So as Bonnie mentioned, use that chat, bottom left-hand corner, email us at professional@travefy.com or schedule trainings. I mentioned that as well. I mean, don't forget that we do have that and like the domain masking stuff. That's a good example of like, it's okay if you don't, not a lot of people know how to make that work. So just let us know and we can hop on a call with you and help you
Right.
through that.
And
Yeah.
don't be afraid of our trainings. I know it can be a little nerve-wracking. Feel free. You don't have to have your camera on by any means, but I would
Oh, yeah.
say a training is the most helpful when it comes to the page builder specifically. One, because it's one-on-one. You can walk through some of your goals that you're trying to do. We can go through specific questions you have. But you can also, by all means, share your screen and can just walk through it that way as well. So
Yeah.
lots of different opportunities.
There is, yeah, I know, and that's a good thing to point out that we just get so used to it, and we're like, oh yeah, screen. But then we were talking about that yesterday, and we're like, clients sometimes don't want to get on a call. Like we get it, we all are that way.
Yeah.
So it's okay. But this is awesome. I love how. Thank you so much for the kind words that people are sharing. That they've learned so much.
Oh,
That's so great. That yes, we did it.
yes,
But
we're
again, if
here.
there's more, yes, and there's probably so much more. I mean, we could be doing these for a long time. We do when we do training camp once a year. I mean, it's all week. So we could be doing so much stuff. And also someone did ask how long will they have access to these recordings? Forever, forever and ever.
Forever.
I will say though, after maybe a year or two, they might start to get a little outdated, but that's why we do New Age of Boot Camp again. So
Yeah.
the good thing is all of these are very up to date, and keep an eye on your emails. We send you in-app notifications sometimes. We'll have a lot of new stuff continuously coming at you, and we'll keep you updated, and we'll keep hosting our other webinars so you keep learning more, and just all good stuff. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bonnie, for
Yes, of
doing 2
course.
sessions today. Bonnie, you've been busy. You deserve a nice happy hour cocktail.
Coffee time.
Some more coffee,
But
that works
no,
too.
yes, I want to say thank you to you all as well who are still in here for taking time out of your day. I know some of you, I saw someone took time off, so I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
But I know this always takes time. Feel free, reach out whenever. But yeah, we've enjoyed having you guys.
I know. Oh, it's so sad that we must, but again, we just reach out to us. We are always happy to help, but also send us some, like, if there's feedback too, like if there's anything you're like, man, it really would have been cool if you did this, or if we had a webinar on this. We want to hear it. We're always customizing. We're always trying to improve and make it easy for you. So thank you so much again, everyone. And we'll see you again soon. But thank you so
See
much for
you
joining us.
soon. Bye.